Super Rugby round number 9. 2 games on. One here in New Zealand, one in Australia. It's the Battle of the Mainland with the Crusaders hosting the Highlanders and then the Rebels hosting the Stormers over there in Melbourne. So, yeah, pretty good games ahead of us. I guess we'll see how they go. For the first one, like I said, it's the two South Island teams. It's the Crusaders and the Highlanders. Both of them, you'll notice in their win, draw, loss records have a 1 in the middle, which stands for a draw. It was that cancelled game, which was due to be held in Dunedin. So this is the only time the Crusaders and the Highlanders are going to play this season unless they meet in the playoffs, which at the moment for the Highlanders, ooh, flickering screen, for the Highlanders isn't looking all that likely. The Crusaders are looking, apart from one blip and one cancelled game, still looking like a pretty power team to beat. But yeah, these two teams, despite the differing records, tend to have pretty close games. The Highlanders always give them a good run for their money. Hopefully the same is true here and we see a good game of footy. For the Crusaders, they've made a few changes. So Taylor is still injured, so Makaleo gets the start at number 2. Alalatoa is in at tight head because Franks is also not 100%. Sam Whitelock's back. Fetu Douglas is at 6. Matt Todd and Kieran Reid is still at 7 and 8, so it's a pretty strong looking team. Mwanga continues at 10, but Bryn Hall is swapped with Drummond this week, so Hall gets the start. Goodhue's back at 13, and inside him is Ryan Crotty. Braden Ennor gets the nod on the right wing, which means Will Jordan, who's been in top form, still can't buy a start. He is on the bench. And George Bridge is still out with an injury, which really seems to be taking quite some time to recover from. So, in terms of his World Cup aspirations, probably not the best because those guys on the fringes really need every game they can get. But it's just not happening for him at the moment in terms of his fitness. But you got to get that right. For the Highlanders, Dan Leonard-Brown starts this week on the loose head, so he's not on the bench. Pari Parkinson is in the second row. Josh Ioane gets the nod at number 10 because Marty Banks is injured. He's going to be out for, I think, was it 4 to 6 weeks with a broken foot. So he gets the nod ahead of Bryn Gatland, but Bryn Gatland is on the bench. Bryn Gatland has left the Blues and has not gone on to become one of the world's best players, which is a surprising thing because most guys who leave the Blues tend to get better. Rob Thompson is in the midfield, which is nice. Him and Tay Walden resume that kind of midfield combo they had last year, which was really impressive. So hopefully that continues there. You still got the likes of Ben Smith at 15. There's still no Aaron Smith, so Hamilton's in at number 9. I mean, if you look at who's missing from the Highlanders, just a few of them. No Banks, like I said, no Buckman. They got injured in last week's game. Still no Aaron Smith, still no Naholo, still no Squire. So it's not ideal. Ideally, if you are going to go to Christchurch, you want all your big guns available. Or you just do what a lot of the other teams have been doing, or at least a couple, and just play a weakened team. But that's not what the Highlanders are doing. I think their fans would be pretty displeased if they tried for anything less than a win over their rivals in the Crusaders. So, yeah, like I said, it's usually a pretty good battle between these two teams. Hopefully it is another one here. But the bookies have got the Crusaders by 13 points, so giving them a pretty decent win. The Highlanders' defence has not been all that flash this season. Aaron Major has talked that he is trying to switch them from a team which doesn't play with the ball to a team which plays with the ball. But it seems one of the sacrifices there is their defence has not been all that solid. So, yeah, it's kind of a weird one because they've taken what was a semi-winning formula and now it's not working out. But hey, give them time. There's still enough time in the Super Rugby season to make a recovery. But if they could get a win over the Crusaders, that would get a lot more people... Flickering screen. That would get a lot more people believing in what they can do for this season. The next one is the Rebels, who are kind of high-flying up against the Stormers. Now, the Rebels, yeah, they're good in Australia. They're good against the Aussie Conference teams. They lost their games in South Africa. They've got a South African team visiting them in the Stormers. The Stormers, 3 wins, 4 losses. The Rebels, 6 wins, 2 losses, 5 wins, 2 losses. Like I said, those are the two from South Africa. 3 of those 4 for the Stormers are on the road in New Zealand and Australia. So the Stormers continuing that tradition of not touring well. And it started all right, but it's gotten progressively worse for the Stormers. I mean, they've not been helped by players being out. This week there's still no Khaleesi because, well, he played last week, but he's been rested for this game. Still no Itzebeth, still no Peter-Steph Dutoy. So kind of not ideal. Probably last week's game was the one that they would have been targeting as a potentially easy game, but it didn't end up panning out that way. It was a bit of a slog, that one, especially in the first half. Rebels bounced back after their South African tour, so they're still looking like the form team in Australia, but it's doing it, I suppose, when they're outside of their own backyard and also outside of the Aussie Conference to see that'll be the true test. So this one is kind of one where they'll be expected to win because they are in Melbourne and the Stormers have been travelling so poorly. For the Rebels, a few changes. In the front row, Abel and Talakai come in at 2 and 3. Ross Halapetti's back in the second row, but still a lot of it's still kind of that standard lineup. Vessels isn't making wholesale changes. Guinea at 9, Cooper 10, Corabidi 11, Meeks 12, English 13, so it's very, very familiar. Hodge is at 15. There's no Maddox this week. He is, I believe, nursing an injury, so Tupou is in on the right wing. But I mean, also aside from Maddox, Rangi is missing from the number 2 jersey. That's why Abel gets the start. Hugh Roach is on the bench, a former Waratahs guy. Matt Phillip is also injured, but I guess with Ross Halapeti back, that's kind of a decent guy to have come back into your team. So for the Stormers, like I said, none of those 3 guys, Khaleesi, Itzebeth, and Dutoy. So Kitsoff is captain this week from Loosehead. He starts. Mbonambi and Lowe are alongside him in the front row, so a bit of a change there. Morat and Kobus Visa are a new second row pairing. Van Rooyen is in at 6. Still Van Dijk and Jaco Kutsia at 7 and 8. Herschel Yankees comes in at 9, so another shift there. It's still Jean-Luc Duplessis at 10. I know people want to see, was it their standard they're calling for to start at 10 ahead of Duplessis, because he's on the bench. Sinatla's also on the bench. I think it's his first. Is it his first game this season, or is it his first game since like the first round? I can't recall, but it's been a while since we've seen him. Still a bit of stability in the backs aside from Yankees though, because it's still Dylan Lades, Del Ende, Ronell, Sergio Peterson, Damien Willems, so pretty familiar. Rebels by 11 is what the bookies have got for that one. So both of the home teams are looking strong. They're both leading their conferences. These are teams right up there in my power rankings. So in theory, both of these home teams should be getting pretty comfortable wins. But with the way Super Rugby has been going this season, you never do know. Crusaders at home seems like a pretty safe bet, though, if anything else. Speaking of a bet, I did have a bet with the Imbiber, who's got a Japan-based Super Rugby and International Rugby YouTube channel, on the Sunwolves and the Blues a while back. He sent me a bottle of sake. It did a bit of a trek around the postal service here in New Zealand, but it finally arrived. I just opened that today, so yeah, it's some sake. I haven't drunk sake for probably 15 years, so this is going to be interesting. My wife has demanded to have some. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. I can read some of the writing because I can read a bit of Chinese and some of the characters are the same, but most of it I cannot read. So hopefully it says that it's good. But yes, thank you for that, Mr. Imbiber. I will be tucking into that very shortly. But yeah, what do you guys think on these games? How do you think they are going to go? Do you think anyone's going to upset the Crusaders? Is that team going to be the Highlanders? Tough job, and can the Stormers finally get a win on tour? This is their last chance for the 2019 season. You guys let me know your thoughts, and I'll talk to you again soon. See you later.